And so, staying with our business agenda tonight, shares in Novo Nordisk fell very sharply after the trial into the Alzheimer's disease yielded disappointing results. Here's the numbers. You'll see the shares ended down nearly 6%. The drug maker had hoped that the semaglutide, the active ingredient in Ozempic and Wegovy, could be used to slow the progression of Alzheimer's. A planned extension of the trial is now cancelled after the drug failed to have an effect on disease progression. Elaine Chen is national biotech reporter at STAT. It's disappointing. Look, you've got two things here. You've got the disappointing of the result, which, for those who suffer from it, and then you have the market reaction from it. On both sides, it's a shame.
It is very disappointing. In Alzheimer's disease, there has long been a slew of investigational drugs that have failed. So it's always disappointing to see another study failure on Novo Nordisk's. And to be fair, they had actually communicated to everyone, this is a very uncertain trial. It's risky. We don't know if chances of success are high at all. So they were actually trying to set expectations low, and yet it's clear that investors were still quite disappointed.
It's the pharma industry comes in for such criticism for the large profits that it makes. And there's a certain validity to those criticisms, but this does show there is huge risk involved on some of these, these drugs that they take.
Yeah, this was an interesting choice by Novo Nordisk because there's very little data about whether Ozempic, this class of treatments, could actually help Alzheimer's. And for the company's part, they said, we saw some early data just looking at real world evidence. We decided, we had to go investigate this. So for their part, they were willing to take a big risk with this. I think there's debate around whether the way they designed the trial and how they went about it was the best way, but it does show that, it does take a lot of time and money to run these studies.
Where is now in pharma the smart money going?
I do think the drugs similar to Ozempic and Wegovy, the newer ones that are in development that either may lead to more weight loss or maybe more tolerable for patients to take. I think there's still a lot of money going there. I think the obesity trade has not ended yet, so I think that's still a very hot area.
Right, but that's sort of Me Too and Me Too a plus, isn't it? That's just advancing something. The really expensive stuff is all the oncology. I was hearing this morning about the child at the Royal Manchester Hospital who's been cured of Hunter's disease. It was a case, but all these which are individualized, either stem cell or require vast resources to be deployed. Oncological medications, that is going to cancers, the likes. That is going to be the big ground, individualized medicine, which is incredibly expensive.
I think that is where there's still a lot of development happening. Unfortunately, those types of medicines, individualized therapies, gene therapies, the commercialization has been very difficult because it takes so much money to discover and then study those molecules. And so actually currently it feels like the drugs for these big diseases like obesity, like heart disease are kind of back in vogue now in terms of from an investment perspective.
I guess, do we need to have those big blockbusters to pay for the research and all the other stuff into the other stuff?
I think that's a good point. I think that we do need to find a way to figure out how to pay for the gene therapies for the rare diseases, yes.
I'm grateful for you joining us tonight. What a fascinating subject. Thank you for joining us tonight.